Guys, back. Today we're going to be doing some coding. Pretty easy. We're just gonna be completing the quiz that we set out last time or a few episodes ago. I'm still quite sick and still not feeling well, so there will obviously be a bit less commentary, but I'll try to go through things as usual. But I don't go through things probably as much as I probably should. But yeah, we'll see. So we want to make a few voids. We want to make for back. Now you probably won't be using this back function if it's like a quiz that because otherwise they can go back and get the answer right? Because you kind of want to make it say finish and then they go to the next one, and see, that's fine. If you're not having a back function, then you don't need this. But I mean, you probably could still have it in here just in case you wanted to have ability for you to go back, because you're obviously an admin or whatever, have a command center. If set number is greater than 0, so I'll write this down as code and show you. So what basically happens is our set number, if you guys don't know, is essentially what set we're up to, and we have sets of questions. So we have the first set, the second set, the third set, and each set of those questions have their own unique questions and their own unique right answer, and this is a set, right? So what we want to do is we actually want to get this pseudo set, and we actually want to make sure that we're not on set 0, because if we're on set 0, then what's going to happen is it's going to go back 1, and there's no set -1 or set -2 or so on. So this is just to make sure that we don't have, just make sure that we never go into the negatives. Doesn't mean that we can't go into negatives. If somehow for admins we go, okay, get me -1, it'll crash, it'll have a bug, but it won't do anything else other than just return you a blank screen. Okay, so next we want to actually do something with this. So you want to go, okay, set number minus, okay, and we're just going to go get next set. Yeah, that. We just want to have a command called get n set, but it's just basically easy. Then we want to go else, just return. So basically, we don't really need that there because it's kind of already in there. But I guess we will I will just remove it. We'll make it, if we I don't have it stuff like that in my code, because it helps to prevent weird code paths that you don't expect. This one you will want, because it's nicer to have a next button in a command, because sometimes when you finish something, I want to go to the next one, but maybe you don't. Maybe you want to just have a button that pops up saying go to next. This is all under you, right? You can choose whatever you want here. This one, make sure set number is less than sets.length. Sets dot count. It's different for this. Import by you and do that. So we're basically just, because I don't know if I said this before, but an array, the big thing about arrays is that even though the count, this is the same with lists. A list is, if you guys don't know, you probably should, because I think I said in the previous video, but just to remind you, a list is the exact same as array, there's no difference. But the big thing about lists is they're a bit more, they're dynamic. You can add to, you can move, you can do whatever you want to them, and you never have to set the length of them, right? Which you do have to set with arrays. For example, you go integer array cow is equal to a new integer array of 10. What that means is the array is 10 long, where as you see with our list, we actually don't set how big it is because it's dynamic, it's whatever. I can also clear everything from the list to make it 0 length, to make everything gone for it, where I can't do that for arrays, or easily. I have to do for loops and all that stuff. You can't just go, well, what's an array? I don't know, int array cow, then you can't go cow dot move or cow dot, you can't delete it. You can't go for every single one and just delete it. Well, if we did, that would be a unique piece of code that would write, and it did that with lists. Okay, well, you can't get lists are dynamic arrays. There's a few other little things you can do with them too, and they're just nicer. You can't use an array here. Or maybe you could have an array of quiz set. We'll see. I don't know if you get your array of these. Is that possible? It looks like you can. You can array quiz sets. So that's only if you want to have. Well, actually, that's really bad because the thing about that is it would, even if you'd have to say how big it is, but you could do it in the Spectre, I guess. But like, if you wanted to add an extra one to it, you have to increase the length, and now if you move one, now you have to decrease the length, and there's so much easier to list. Okay, so then obviously this is pretty easy. Plus and get next set. Okay, this is, I will say this, is that why do I have the plus? What does that mean? You may see in for loops. It literally just means +1 or -1. If you have two signs next to each other, a plus or a minus, it means -1 +1. I don't know what two divide by signs mean next to each other. I don't think it actually means anything. You go like this. Oh, no, that's common, of course, and %, I don't know what that means. It probably means something. Oh, it's saying it's like 1. Yeah, it's invalid. And then put two terms together. I'm sure there's a way to get square roots. That's what I think 2 times together would be, but okay. Maybe 6 times 2. Yeah, okay, that's square root. No, it's not. I don't know what that is. Okay, regardless. Oh, sorry. Apparently you can't do that. Okay. Well, normally in some things the shift 6 gives you like a little up arrow, and that normally means square root. Okay, so now we're actually going to go back to set and number. So public void set. So we got indigo of number, then that's our function. We're just going to go if number is less than sets.count -1, and that's what the double shift 7 sign means, or the double and sign. So I'll go through that in a second this way, and set number is greater than 0. No, not and number is greater than 0. We're not incrementing here, we're actually just setting it. If you want to increment, you can, but the point is then you have to actually do more increments. But if you want to increment, it's quite easy. Just go set number plus that, and then even if this is minus, it will change the plus sign to a minus sign if it's minus, so it still work. That's how you do an increment. But you'd have to do that on this one too. So double one or sign. Oh, I forgot what one or sign means. You would never use it though. It's pretty mean saying. And then double by or sign, I mean this is actually really hard one to find. Okay, so it's above your enter key. If you guys don't know, it's just above it, and it's like a straight line with a backward slash. It's the backward slash key. You just shift click that, and you get double lines. And 2 of them means or. So if this or this, and double shift 7 or the and sign means and. And there's a few other little tricks like that, but they're the main ones that you'll be using. I think you can use and or. I couldn't find out how to use and or, because somebody's going to say if these two are together, that's fine, or this. Oh no, you could just say or, because it will. Yeah, you don't need an and or. And or is useless, because if you send and or I mean, if either of them are correct, it doesn't really matter if both of them are correct, you know. Yes, and then we just go set number is equal to number. Get next set. And then we want, now this is a piece of code that we'll need to write on a different thing, because I made a code, or a piece of code. If you haven't done this yet, quickly do this, create a script called button select. I've remade it. As you can see here. So we'll just do that now. And we just want to go quiz manager called quiz. Then initial ID. So we want to do an awake key. And now the thing about awake is, if people just don't know, the difference between awake and start is awake starts before start. Awake runs before start. And they're essentially the same. It's just awake runs faster. So sometimes you want some pieces of code available before others, and since this piece of code doesn't require it until you click it, so it should be fine for this to all run, because as you see, this is awake too. But this stuff is never needed by button select, so it's fine. If it was needed, then we'd have to change button select to a start, or we'd have to go into the code and make it start beforehand. I'm not going to go into all that stuff. Quiz is equal to GameObject.find scripts. Now we haven't created this game object yet, so don't worry if you are going, wait, I don't have that game object. We'll do that now. And now you may have heard, don't use GameObject.find. You can't use it in update functions, or you really shouldn't. Sometimes you have to. Well, a case for an update function would be, okay, let's say I'm at the base, right, and let's say I'm attacking the base. Maybe the base has changed, the base doesn't exist anymore, so now we have to find a new base to attack. So now we have to go GameObject.find base, right, and it'll find the first one on the list, right. So I don't know how you go through it, but sometimes you need to put them in update. You really shouldn't. You should be using things like send message and all that stuff. But I mean, hey, sometimes you have to use it. And there's some few tricks, so we'll go into those later, to actually access a file, even though you don't need to actually get the component, add it in. You can actually do a trick way. It makes things a lot longer, a few things longer, but we could do that. Actually, we'll do that now. I really like this. You guys don't know. Now you don't actually even need that awake function. You just need an ID. And then we go quiz manager, and we go public instance. So public quiz manager instance, and we call this static. Now the big thing about static is that, let's say we got 8 instances of this object, right? We got 8 different quiz managers, which you wouldn't have, but for example, let's say you got 8 different monsters, right? Those monsters may all have to find one single human, and they have to go kill that human, or maybe, and so what you would want to do is you want it so you have like some invincibility frames. So when a monster attacks, they have to wait a few seconds before they attack again. In that case, you could have a static. And what static means is every one of those monsters, if this changes, all the rest of them change. So if you have 100 monsters and one of the statics changes, every other monster that has this script will change that specific one to the right. So then we just go instance is equal to this. So basically we're saying, well, now, because now it's static means you don't, so even here, if I went, okay, well, let's say public on click. If I want to go quiz manager dot get next set, why doesn't it appear? Because you can only ever access static variables unless you have your own copy of it, right? So what you may not realize is that this is a script, sure, but when we run it, all these things are going to change. So if we were to access the script, but the script is on an object, so we actually have to access that object script. We can't just access the script directly. So what this means is that this is actually it's like doing the exact same, doing this under our object and having to move the object into it. Exact same thing. The only difference is that the quiz manager is under here, So that means that if our object can't find Quiz Manager, for example, a monster, and we're having prefab of a monster, we need to access Quiz Manager, or human, or, you know, monster ability, whatever, right? And sometimes we don't have access to that because of how things work, because it's a prefab, and you can't drag objects into prefabs. So what do? You do this, and so you can always access it. So we go Quiz Manager dot instance dot, everything's back to us. We have everything, so we can go okay. Dot finish, right? Yeah. And you're gonna go finish. This is a command I'll write in a second. But before we do this, we just want to give it an integer, so ID. And we want to go into try pass name, and out is going to be ID. We just want this to be list name, just to make sure that this object will be attached to button. So just to make sure that it's actually being activated. So now that's it. That's all we need to do. So in Quiz Manager, we'll add our finish function, and we're basically done. We're on the home stretch. Void finish button. Okay, button ID. Ooh, we might as well. Alright, so we want a button ID. So what button you're pressing? We're just checking if button ID is equal to quiz set. So it sets set number dot right one. So if you click the right one, basically. If you have, and it doesn't know why. There you go. Oh, so double equal signs is equal to double of the equal signs means is this equal to this? Where if you just do one, it's saying this is equal to this. Did I say finished? Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. Okay. Finish.text is equal to yes, why not? Change this to whatever you want. This is what it's going to come out as. Then we go finished dot get component animator. Sometimes there is some bugs with this. So if you have bugs with this, I'll try to fix it for you, but I can't always because of how it works. It's really weird. So what I did is I actually quit the I restarted my computer, and it seemed to fix itself. I just had to, you know, do a few things. There's some problems animators, and apparently they're fixing it, or apparently at one point they did fix it, but it came back to me, which wasn't good. Else if button does not equal set number. Then we just go, okay, so finished text is equal to no, and finished get component animator set trigger 1. The reason that we're having sentence twice, you go, oh, we could have set this afterwards. Yeah, but the thing is, we probably could, but this way we make sure that the button, if you give an ID, right, and somehow the set number mucked up, it's just going to ignore it, which is better than having words come up and go, well, I pressed the turn button, you know, it is a bug. It's kind of is a bit bug proof, a bit, not massively. So now if we go back into our program,